Hey everybody, so today we have a little fashion video. I don't make too many of those. I do film outfits of the day occasionally whenever I feel like it, or whenever I have time, I should say. But today we're going to be talking about anti-trends and trends in which basically I won't participate in, trends which I don't find flattering, clever, wearable, etc, etc, etc. Again, as usual, you have to make a disclaimer in that case that it's just my opinion. You don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to think how I think. I'm not trying to piss anybody off by expressing what I think about fashion. Everybody's entitled to wear whatever they want, but also everybody's entitled to think whatever they want about current fashion trends. So let's not be too PC and just have fun. So first one on the list is gingham, and you will probably find it odd because gingham is a reasonably harmless kind of trend. It's not so much out there. It's reminiscent of vintage, maybe 50s fashion. It's also reminiscent of tablecloths of that period as well. I bet your grandma had a gingham tablecloth. However, that's not what bothers me about this trend. In fact, I would really gladly be wearing gingham if I didn't feel like it is quite an unflattering print. Women who aren't very thin, like myself, already I'm finding it difficult to style that sort of a trend on my figure, and I am not usually very difficult to style when it comes to prints. So gingham has this propensity, especially if it's worn over, round shapes, which some of us have. It just creates this unflattering extra volume, as well as kind of warps the figure, because if you have rounder hips, rounder breasts, if you put gingham print on it, unless it's absolutely impeccably tailored to your figure, it's going to look a little odd. It's going to warp on certain parts. It's going to possibly, if it's a stretchable material, stretch slightly over certain parts, and in general, just not be very flattering. So that's why I think it's not a super wearable trend, despite what you might initially think, oh, gingham is harmless. I think for very thin women, great. For women with curves, it's tricky. It's not impossible, and especially if your item of clothing is very, very well tailored, it's in fact probable that you are going to be able to pull it off with poise and grace. But I feel like for me, I'm just not willing to go and tailor and bother to make sure everything is perfect on a trendy piece like that. I feel like to make it look nice, I would have to spend a lot of money on it, and it's not a trend that I'm sort of thinking I'll be wearing for years and years to come. So I'm a little bit less inclined to add that trend to my wardrobe, especially given the fact that it is a little bit more difficult to style within a professional, work-appropriate and basic wardrobe, which I have. And considering that I'm sort of tending towards minimalism, it is also a little bit more difficult to incorporate. So that is why this is the number one on my list. Next trend is frills on pants. Now we see it all over. We see like little pom-poms, little dangly bits. We see ruffles on the bottom of the pants. It looks quite cute on photos, but I think not as wearable in real life. As well, I have to say, this is quite a harmless little thing that can be pulled off. First of all, little pom-poms, etc., they're going to be tickling the foot, and it's just a weird sensation. I tried a pair because I wanted to see what they would look like on me, and they didn't look bad. They were just a bit odd in the context, again, of my reasonably minimalist and pretty professional wardrobe. I just don't feel like I could wear them outside of the weekend activity, and for that I probably wouldn't go ahead and choose them anyway. In terms of ruffles, I feel like if you do have ruffles on the hem of the pant, it actually kind of warps the proportions of your legs. It creates unnecessary heaviness around the ankle, and I just feel like it is not a very flattering look. You want your ankle, especially if it's a cropped pant, to be exposed and to look delicate. And all this volume at the bottom of the foot, I feel like takes away from potential of what pants, a well-tailored pair of pants could do for you. However, again, I feel like I've seen people it looks great on. I just don't feel like it's for me. If you like it, then, Godspeed. Next, we have super long sleeves. This is a trend that I actually really like the look of, especially with the deconstructed shirting that has been around, which I really, really enjoy and obviously am wearing today. I am a fan of the look, and I really like those cool detailed sleeves with pleating, possibly with ruffles, with the volume, with the architectural elements. This is all the stuff that I love. The design elements I could totally get behind. Why I'm putting it on the list? Well, because it's very impractical. Although it looks great in photos and even might look good in real life, the problem remains. Long sleeves dip everywhere, as well as wide sleeves dip everywhere. Everywhere from food to dirt to any kind of moisture always gets mopped up by longer sleeves and those big sleeves. So this I'm putting on the list just for practical purposes, not for any other reason. Then we have big hoodies and tees with branding. And this is the primary example of this kind of a item, the Gucci t-shirt that is just everywhere on Instagram. Those big slogan tees with the very, very obvious branding. Well, I'm a little bit confused about the trend, and I will explain why. I understand the desire to show off the brand name, and I know that that's what people do at the moment, but I do feel like it's not in the best taste necessarily, although I don't have anything against what it looks like. Personally, I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't choose to brand myself with a brand name. Effectively, I'm walking advertisement for that brand, and I don't want to be an advertisement. I'm a person. Another point I would like to highlight is the fact that I would feel duped if I would have purchased one of these items. Why? Because these huge branded tees are very expensive, hundreds of dollars for a t-shirt, well-made t-shirt, sure, but I can buy a well-made t-shirt from Everlane for like what, 25 bucks, 18 bucks? It's absolutely just for branding. There's nothing construction-wise or quality-wise in that t-shirt to justify the price tag. And I own designer items. I love designer items. I love designer accessories. I love designer clothing. And what I purchase, for instance, from a designer would be a dress, a pair of pants, a vest, a tailored suit or a jacket, something that is going to show superior quality when you compare it to a cheaper item. And I do notice the difference in quality. Whether it's justified or not, I'm not convinced completely, but I do want superior quality, therefore I'm paying for it. With a branded t-shirt, there's only so much you can do with a t-shirt in terms of quality. So quality caps out at like 20, 30 bucks. The rest of it, you're just paying premium for a brand. And again, plastering advertisement all over yourself. So this returns to the point. I really don't want to sponsor big brands to the point where it's crazy. So very minimal work goes into an item, and very premium price is paid for an item. Their profit margin is gigantic, and I feel silly for paying that, so I don't. However, I can get behind perhaps the idea of having like a graphic tee of some sort. Maybe, you know, that's an expression of self, like a little graphic tee, whatever you want to convey to the world, you can put on your t-shirt. And I understand that, but to put an ad for a very rich brand, that I don't understand. I understand graphic tees. I don't understand graphic tees for $400. That's all. Next, we have bras on top of clothing. And what I'm talking about is this trend where over top of shirting, over top of sweaters, other clothing, whatever, people started wearing all of a sudden bustiers, little nightgown looking things, bralettes, and straight up bras. I can't get behind it, because to me it seems like that person kind of looks a little bit like they got dressed in the dark and confused the order of operations and put the undergarment on last. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's not really a functional trend. I understand layering, but to me that's an odd way to layer. And usually it doesn't look great, because tailored items will give you structure and shape, and underwear over top of tailored items is distorting every kind of layering tactic that I can think of. And also it would never fit into most wardrobes, except for people who don't have a sort of job outside of the internet. You know, people who have to wear any kind of professional or adapt their trends to be professional, that's not going to work. And I feel like most people on the street that won't work for, because just seems odd to me. It's eye-catching, but not in a good way, in my opinion. Of course, if you like to wear your undies over top of your clothing, go ahead. Nobody's going to stop you. You can do whatever you want. It is your body. And that's it for today. It's not really rules what I'm talking about. It's just sort of what occurs to me as common sense. And for a person of my lifestyle, you know, I'm a mom, I'm a professional. This might be entirely different if you're an Instagram girl and that's how you make a living, or you have a like trend-based blog and that's how you make a living. That's a totally different lifestyle to what I have, and I don't think that it would be wrong to wear any of those things. But for people sort of in real world, not on the internet, these kinds of trends might not jive too well with us. That's it for today. I hope it was fun for you. I want you to let me know down below if you agree with me, disagree with me, or if you have other trends that you find kind of ridiculous and unwearable, or difficult to wear, difficult to style. And just tell me what you've been seeing on the streets, what you've been seeing online, and what kind of things do you plan to add to your wardrobe based on the current trend reports. Okay, everybody. See you guys later. Have fun. Bye-bye.